Hello, friend. So happy to have you back. Welcome to the podcast and for our new episode with Andrea De La Cerda. Andrea is an incredible woman, and I'm diving in before I introduce you to her to let you know that this episode was actually recorded quite a few months ago, almost a year ago. And as you'll hear Andrea tell her story, she increased her business 400% in less than a year. But the good news is, I spoke to her just a few days ago and she updated me on her results, and they are mind blowing. So you'll hear her talk about taking her business from 200,000 a year, one business, and increasing it 400%. But she just updated me that since then, in less than a year since this was recorded, she has 10x her business. In fact, she has a second business now. So she went in less than 2 years from 200,000 to 2.1 million with her life back. And she's going to tell you exactly how she did it so that you can too. And just a little hint, she stepped out of the doing role and more into the visionary leadership role of her business by hiring team, creating SOPs. She'll tell you all about that. But she said that her biggest breakthrough came from her mindset. And she thought, mindset will be a good thing. She had no idea what was possible when she changed her wealth consciousness, when she changed her limiting beliefs, when she rewired her programming, mindset programming, to show up as a different type of business owner. She also talks about the power of community, accountability, and getting real strategy to creating a 7-figure business. And she did it in 2 years. So I want you to get a notebook. I want you to take notes, really pay attention because there are so many nuggets in here. And as always, I just want to inspire you. We talk in this episode about normalizing women at a million. This is what I want for you, even if you may not see this for yourself just yet, just like Andrea didn't see it for herself. So enjoy the episode. I hope you love it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this conversation with Andrea. I'm so delighted to be celebrating you. Andrea, introduce yourself to everyone and just tell them briefly what you do.
Yeah, my name is Andrea De La Cerda, and I run a consultancy. I actually have 2 businesses, one in strategic communication and the other in government relations, but also supporting government, nonprofit organizations in their business development and their marketing.
And you just stepped into year 2 of the program here at Boldheart, the Leveraged Business Program. So congratulations. And take us back to about a year and a half ago. What was your reality back then? What was not working? What was your day-to-day? What was your experience like that made you say, I might need some help with this?
About a year and a half ago, I would say I was in this period of transition. I'd been working my business for about a decade. Toward the last couple of months, it hadn't been really full time. I was actually at a point where I was not sure whether I wanted to continue to grow the business or, do something else. And as I was in that period of transition and did make the decision to say, okay, yes, I'm going to jump back into this business 110%. I knew at that point that I needed support. I had been doing it long enough to know that if I felt I was siloed, working alone and setting goals for myself, somewhat in a vacuum, it wasn't working for me. I felt like no matter how much hustle I had, and it was all about the hustle. Early on in my career, I thought somehow I got the impression that if you put your head down and you work hard enough, all the things are going to happen. And I reached a point in my career and I realized that really wasn't happening. And something was missing. I felt like community was missing. I was initially really seeking that. And also accountability. That's something that was missing. And so together, the two, I really started to seek out a group that could support, kind of through that lens. And of course, when I came to Boldheart, I found so much more than that.
So you wanted some strategy? You wanted some accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to not feel alone.
Yes. And also because the hustle wasn't so much working anymore, I absolutely felt like I was working every hour of the day, and it was just a dollars per hour situation where I thought, no, I want to grow, but how do I grow if it's just me and I only have so many hours? So I thought, the very least, maybe I could get some additional business coaching and strategy that might help me think outside of how I'm currently thinking about my business. And so that was interesting to me too. I found so much more with Boldheart though. I mean, there's the strategy, there's the community, but then there was the mindset, which I think that snuck up on me in a way
Yeah.
that
So say more about that. Tell me, did you know that there were things to shift in your mindset before you stepped into this beautiful container?
no,
Mm.
not really, not at all. I never explored that really before. But I remember I think it was in one of your innovators talking about when it's hard, when you're feeling that hustle and it's just not getting easier, maybe that's a sign that something's in the way. And that
Mm.
resonated with me because I had been on that hamster wheel
Yeah.
thinking like, why am I not growing? Why am I, I was still making six figures. I mean, we're still able to, make a decent living, but it wasn't what I was after. It wasn't really what I dreamed of or had visions of. So how can I make it easier on myself? And at that point I was like, I'll try anything. I'll try
Right.
tapping. I'll try hypnosis. I'll try all
Yeah.
the things, so many of those modalities that we talk about, in our sessions that have helped so many people. Certainly have really leaned into that work. I would say over the last 5 to 6 months, it's just made such a huge difference in my business.
Yeah. I really want to appreciate and underline what you just said about our culture that teaches us that if we just would push through, like you said, put your head down, grind it out. And the opposite of that is that perhaps this, when it's not working, it means a change is needed. You've heard me say the following a million times, but one of the premises of our program is that what got you here won't get you there.
Right.
So the approach, right? So the approach of hustle and working longer hours and working harder is actually the opposite of what allows you to scale and grow your business. As you know, our philosophy here and how we do everything is the only way to scale and grow your impact, your revenues, your business, your downtime is to work less. And go ahead. What do you want to
Well, I
say?
was thinking, that was one of my biggest first realizations when I started this program a year ago. And at the time, I struggled with the thought of hiring a team.
Mm-hmm.
It seems so scary. If I hire a team, that means that I need to make sure that money is in the bank at the right time of the month so that everyone can get paid. So it was a terrifying idea, but that one decision, that first decision was really what propelled me into a track toward leverage. I didn't see it I don't think I could have seen it until I experienced it for myself. When I suddenly saw, wow, there are people out there a lot smarter than I am at doing certain tasks, and how liberating to feel like I don't have to do that and they can do it better. And now I can dream bigger, and now I can have bigger goals and work on my marketing and work on my sales. And that one first decision was the best first decision in this program that I've ever made.
Mm-hmm. And then it like dominoed from there, right?
Yes, because once you have a team in place, you have the tools to leverage. Now it's about implementing and activating and organizationalizing it. So,
Yeah. I just kind of what I would love for you to share, if you're willing, is so you're only 1 year into the program. Those of you who are listening, you can do just 1 year of the program, but literally 98% of people do the 2 years because then you get the full recipe. And you want to be in this community, in this container. So many people stay 4 to 5 years just because it's so good here. Why would they want to stop what's
yeah.
working? But you've only been in this 1 year. Would you be willing to share, and then we can unpack that, what you've been able to accomplish in terms of results in just 1 year? Understanding that the first year is foundational. This is where we
Mhm.
get team and your systems, and we start focusing on exponential growth activities and delegation and perhaps a new business model. But just in the first foundational year, what have you been able to accomplish, Andrea?
So I came into this program owning one business that I had for, at the time, it'd been about 11 years, 12 years. And that's the one I was focused on. But in the process of doing some thinking and strategizing, it actually made sense for us to spin up a second business. So I started that second business when I was starting Boldheart. So that year, from when I started and launched until now, last year we did a multiple six-figure gross revenue in our first year, which was really exciting. And then the previous business, I was able to really take a lot of what I learned in this program and implement that in the legacy business, which did about a 400% increase in gross revenue last year. So,
Wait, what?
yeah,
So the first business, the legacy one, the one that you had for 11 years, that went 400% increase in 1 year.
correct.
And the second business that you started 1 year ago, as you entered into this program, went to multiple six figures in 1 year from scratch.
Yes.
Wow. That is so awesome. High five, high 10. So,
And I can't say enough about the mindset piece, because when I started to unlock that, and I'm still working, I'm a work in progress,
sure.
of course, as we
Same,
all
same,
are.
same for me, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I definitely, after 6, 7 weeks of kind of rewiring my brain to think differently about those limiting beliefs, something magical did really happen. And of course, you had said that would happen. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've been doing this a long time. We'll see. I'll try it. I'll try
Yeah.
anything. But it really is that magic bullet in a way.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening and you may not have been tapped into this whole mindset thing, I'll explain what Andrea is saying is that we at Boldheart have a mindset first methodology. And what I mean by that is I can give you the whole recipe to 7 figures. You can take your business to 7 figures, and some people do it in a year. Most people do it in 3, 4 years. But I don't do that first. We work on the mindset around how your beliefs, your fears, your self-image, your identity, of what you want to achieve in your business. And then once you've shifted your mindset, your fears, your beliefs, your identity, then I show you how to do it. Because if I gave you the key, but there was no castle to turn it in, I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. No one implements things successfully if they don't have the right mindset to go with it. So what you're explaining, Andrea, is that perhaps you didn't know about this. And the reason why, if you go to boldheart.com and you start binging all of the videos on the success stories tab, all of these people are reaching 1 million or 500,000 with 6 or 8 weeks of unplugged vacations per year. It's because they did it with the mindset first, which is where most programs fail, is they're not addressing your beliefs. So you just started like 6 months ago, just said, okay, I'll take on this thing and let's put the pedal to the metal on the mindset. And then you're able to create results you haven't been able to create before.
Right.
Yeah. What other changes did you make this year, in this first year, that you believe? So mindset changes, you hired,
Mm-hmm.
you created a team, you probably learned how to hire in a way that you hadn't learned how to hire before.
Absolutely. And I know you emphasize using the Kobe A and the Strengths Finder assessments, which we started doing right away when we began hiring. And it truly has made a big difference in the way that our team together works together. You know, the Kobe is such a great way of assessing how people work. And when you can look at those scores with everyone else's scores, you know, and you start to get it, it starts to make sense. And hiring becomes much more strategic and not a shot in the dark. And like, you know, I like this person. So this, you know, we don't hire that way anymore. And that has made a major difference too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so you hired differently, you have a new mindset. What else was pivotal in terms of changes you made in this first year? As a woman who's listening to this, and she's probably in your before, right? Of your before and after story, she's probably thinking, but how did Andrea do that? What specific changes did you make that you could share with the ladies listening?
I think I got really honest about what I love the most about being a business owner. Really, where are my skills best? I realized I was doing so many things that were not in my zone of brilliance, if you will. They were not really what I needed to be doing. And so the team, making sure everyone is in the right role, freed me up to do what I love the most, which I realized was being the visionary. It is being the long term planner and thinker and strategist around this business, both businesses. And just having the ability to have a creative space to be able to like give myself permission to do that. I was never in a position to do that before because it was always, you're
Putting
putting
out
out fires
fires.
every day, right? You're in the business every day. And so that was it was amazing new perspective and gave me a new love for my business.
Hmm.
Now I can wake up and like, wow, I'm just really doing what I love to do versus doing what I feel I have to do every day to just get ahead or to, put in those hourly fees. So that was huge for me. The mindset I mentioned was huge for me too. We're starting to document all of our processes, which I did not do before. And I am not the person who
No.
is detail minded that way to get into the weeds on how things are done. But I have some support on my team that are really focused on that. So we're building out our SOPs, and it has made hiring easier. We can make people just turn them over to, look in this Google folder, check out these videos, give them some guidance on what their responsibilities are going to be in a way that's much more streamlined and consistent. It's been a much better experience for our employees.
Yeah, I think that most of us probably left corporate or whatever we were doing before we opened up a business because we wanted to do things our way. And there's a point at which in your business that flying by the seat of your pants no longer works. It worked, it was fun in the beginning, but then after a while, you want to start creating consistency in your business because flying by the seat of your pants cannot be scaled.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that is consistent can be scaled and delegated and automated and things like that. And so this idea of structure, not only structure for our nature, but also structure for the business, is what allows it to grow as quickly as yours has in just 1 year. That is a mindset too, embracing the idea of creating processes for everything. The key, if you're listening to this and you want to scale your business and get your life back, the key is to understand that whereby you have been part of all the different aspects of your business before, what's going to get you to the next level is to actually be less involved, to work less. And when you begin to affordably hire a team member or a couple team members and then create a process-driven mentality in your culture and in your business like Andrea, you have, it allows you to get your time back. And with your time back, sometimes it's 3 hours a day, sometimes it's 6 or 8 hours a day, you can then focus on exponential growth activities. In your case, it was 400% the first business while creating a whole new business into the multiple six figures. That's exponential growth, right?
I just wanted to take a little pause from my conversation with Andrea to let you know that in case diving deeper into your mindset is something that you're curious about, not only do I have a 3-day mindset deep dive event happening May 6th, 7, and 8, and you can find out more at boldheart.com/mindset. But I also have a free training happening, I believe it's April 15th. And this is where you get to spend 90 minutes with me, no charge, to get a taste of the mindset transformations that Andrea experienced that helped her get from 200,000 to 2.1 million in under 2 years. That event, just 90 minutes, is me showing you some of the best things that I use with my clients to create incredible transformations. I will put the link to this free 90-minute training called the Mindset Intensive down in the show notes. Okay, so grab a seat for that. I'm going to be giving you so much good stuff. Those are 2 resources that you can use for your mindset. And listen, if you know that you want to just spend 3 days and you're convinced and you want to be with me, then go to boldheart.com/mindset. Either way, I'm here for you. Let's transform your results. Now back to my conversation with Andrea.
We were also able to do things like, launch a podcast, which has been a lot of fun and a great opportunity for us to connect with our audience and help them understand, my point of view on issues and also like how we can help them. So there have been so many amazing things that I limited myself in thinking, oh, that's a nice idea, but I don't really think anybody wants to listen to me. Or, that's a nice idea, but boy, that sounds like a lot of work and I wouldn't know where to start. These things become simpler when you also have people who are supporting you, and everything's possible. I'm even starting my first book right now, which I never thought in a million years that I would do that. I mean, I thought it was a nice idea, but to actually say, to put pen to paper and say, I'm going to make this happen and already kind of start to see the storyline is incredibly exciting. So going into my second year, that's a big goal for me.
Yeah. Did that come out of the full day on how to write a book in 90 days?
So your session, How to Write a Book in 90 Days, was amazing. I'm actually watching it again, and now it's recorded, so I can go into the library and watch it again. And it, now that I'm thinking about it, when I first watched it, I wasn't thinking it was possible for me. But then since then, after some discussions with my mindset coach and thinking it through, it's all coming together in my head. So now I'm watching it again to make sure that I get all the nuggets, out of it, because I'm now prepared. It's as if my brain has decided what's going to happen and I'm prepared to do it. So.
Yeah. Amazing. So you wouldn't have necessarily launched the podcast. You wouldn't necessarily have launched a book. What else has come out of this program that you wouldn't have done if you weren't in here? And by the way, those are exponential growth activities, because your podcast and your book become these marketing assets. So do you think that you would have created this exponential growth activities like the podcast or the book, meaning these marketing assets that will work for years to come? Do you think you would have done those on your own?
I would not have done them on my own. I would have thought about doing them. I would have thought, oh, I wish I could do that, but I'm pretty confident it would not have happened.
Yeah. What is it about the program? Because I know some people listen to these and they wonder, like, what is it about the program that is creating these $1 million female businesses all over the world? What is different? So what do you appreciate? And then I want to ask you a question about where you want to be in 12 to 18 months when we speak again about this. But what are the elements of the program that you believe are allowing you to crush your results and do things you wouldn't have been able to do on your own?
I think the first thing that I really noticed and appreciated when I came into this community was that I finally found my tribe. When we talk about this, together in our groups, it's just so refreshing to meet other women, ambitious women, successful, who are wanting to grow their businesses like I do. For us to all be in a virtual room together, there's just so much energy and so much power in that. You call it getting into the vortex, which, we spend time doing. And, if you don't know what that is, it's sort of an experience of energy and excitement and just a commitment to push each other and encourage each other, through all the great accomplishments. And sometimes I know that when I didn't have that community, I wouldn't even think about my accomplishments. It was sort of like on to the next thing, and stopping to celebrate with other people. Just so confidence building. And also just as women, it's a great opportunity to just connect with other like-minded women in a way that I don't, honestly, in the town that I live in, I don't have many of those relationships. And so that was game changing. for me. And it really is a special place.
Without going into details, there are sometimes women in the program who have big decisions to make, and they come into the community and they say, ladies, I have this opportunity. I need to discuss with you. What have you witnessed for others or for yourself around the kind of support that you get in your decision-making process? When I'm there, when the ladies are there, and the one guy that we have.
Well, I mean, goodness. I mean, we had a situation just today, on a Q&A with you where, I did have to bring an issue kind of up that I'm dealing with in my business, and at a bit of a crossroads of how to think about it, how to handle it, and to be able to talk that through in a really encouraging and safe place. I know that the feedback I get is real, it's genuine. I know that it's heartfelt. And it was, to hear everyone lean into me and in a way that I needed in that moment was very humbling and really almost brought me to tears at one point, that to see so many women believing in me at a point where I'm like, maybe I would just give up on this, is what sustains us through owning a business, because it's not easy. It might seem glamorous at times, we can be our own boss, but it can be very difficult and it can be very lonely.
Yeah, I know. I was moved by the conversation, and I was especially moved when I asked this small community that was on the call today, very intimate call today, as it can often be. I said, who's willing to go above and beyond to support Andrea as she navigates her way through this? And the hands went up, but also they all went into the comments and said, me, exclamation, exclamation, all caps. Like, I'm here to support you, Andrea. I'm here to support you. All of them, 100% of them. That shows so much to me about the extreme generosity that is the culture of Boldheart.
Yes, 100%.
We don't often find that in I don't want to say the real world, because I think like this is the real world and that's the muggle world out there. But so the community, do you want to talk about the meetings? You talked about the fact that like you're able to go back and listen to the recordings.
Yes.
Do you like your mastermind? What are the other aspects that you love?
And I love the library. I love the fact that it's all there for me. It's all you can eat buffet. It's a tremendous amount of content. But it's great because it's there, and I'll have maybe an afternoon or a couple hours free when I can go back and rewatch trainings, or if I missed a Q&A, I can go back and watch it and I still feel connected to my people. And that's been super helpful. My accountability partner, she is wonderful and amazing, and I look forward to our conversations. It's amazing how just quick check-ins over the course of a week can create such a bond, between, people when we're going through a lot of the same challenges at the same time. And so that's been a real gift to be able to get to know, new friends in really, intimate ways. I mean, we're sharing things about our business that are, they're important, and it can feel isolating. And so to be able to share things that you can't share with anyone else has really brought me closer to a lot of the women. And again, my mastermind. So it has become like my pod is just like my little strategy brainstorm mastermind group. I mean, we look forward to seeing each other every month. There are some amazing, smart, talented women that I love learning from every time we get on a call together. And so that has been also such a blessing. So a great opportunity to, for monthly check-ins with a certain group, weekly or daily check-ins with my accountability partner, Q&As with you on a weekly basis. There's always support there. I do feel supported in a number of ways, just every week, every month.
Yeah, at the beginning of this conversation, you talked about wanting strategy, and you got it here. You wanted community, and you got it here. You wanted accountability, and you got it here.
And I even got the mindset too as a bonus.
Yeah, and that you didn't know that you were going to get. What's possible for you in the next 12 to 18 months? What do you think you can create with this kind of support? Or in the next 2 years, what do you think you can achieve with the support of Boldheart?
I really believe that I can achieve 2 multi-million-dollar businesses in 2 years. I really do.
Yeah, me too. And it's kind of like normal around here. Like some people, I was talking to a group of women business owners last week, and they couldn't even see like being at 500,000, but it's like normal here because there is that buffet with like every single thing that you need to get there.
And I remember something that you said really early on. I want to say one of my first calls with you. I remember you really just saying it's normalizing it in a way, like you wouldn't know. These are women that look just like you. There's nothing fancy about them. There's nothing bougie about them. Like there's women just like you, and you could walk past them every day and not know they have a multi-million-dollar business. And I thought about that a lot, and it really challenged my own perception of what I thought being a millionaire was, right?
Yeah.
And normalized it in a way for me, and not just normalized it, but also like you're normalizing it for women, which was also a new conversation. Oh, not enough people are normalizing women millionaires, but we can have those conversations very candidly. You know, it's possible, of course, and you wouldn't know. And you can look at this, all our little Zoom squares, and just many women are just killing it, and they look like you and me and anyone else, and it's wonderful.
And they're doing it with heart. And they're doing it by staying feminine. In fact, many of them are becoming even more feminine. And really, when we can say, I don't know if I need to hustle to get to 1 million. Yeah, there's work, okay? You would agree. There's work to be done here, which is why it's a 2-year program, because it's not thinner thighs in 30 days. We've got stuff to do. But this whole idea of the hustle culture that is so normalized in the masculine way of doing business, we've turned that on its head. You actually have to work less. You have to be even more in your heart, more of who you really are. Take off the masculine mask. The more that you can tap into your gifts instead of trying to be somebody that you're not, is actually how we do it. With love, with authenticity, with integrity, with companionship, with this thing. I often say, I really wish I could be part of Boldheart myself. I think this is like, it's amazing. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
In thinking too about supporting women in the process, one of the first, I remember these nuggets that you said to me like early on just like resonated, right? Like they come up from time to time, but that women who are able to make their own money feel safer in the world.
Yeah.
And when you said that, it's like, I always felt that I never verbalized it, didn't know exactly how to verbalize it, but that was so true for me. And in my, journey, my journey's been, like most business owners, it's up and down. Mm-hmm. And in those times when it was down, there was this feeling of like that I wasn't safe, or I didn't feel like I had a foundational, something to build on, that it could just go away. And then where would I be? Where would I be living? And what would happen to my kids? And that was when I saw it that way, I leaned in to myself. I felt like I'm leaning in and committing to myself now, because it isn't just about having money. It's about feeling safe and confident in a world I'm creating for myself. Very empowering.
Yeah, I talk to thousands of women a year. And when I say the words, I believe that every woman on the planet needs to make her own money, and lots of it, with the emphasis of her own money, where she generates it and she keeps it. There is this way. I've been studying the history of women in a patriarchy, which is what we've been living in a couple thousand years now. And we have not really been in charge of our own lives for thousands of years, because the one who makes the most money has the last word in any relationship. And so sometimes we just get bulldozed. And as women, and I tell this to all 3 of my children, I have 1 daughter and 2 boys. I tell them all to make their own money, and lots of it. And especially my daughter, like, you must. And there's no reason why you can't make a lot of it. Just follow the recipe, right? But this idea that if every woman in the world were to make her own money, we would not have the world we're living in.
It's so true.
in a world where sometimes women find themselves going from one day to the next, from being in a beautiful marriage, feeling secure, all that, to being traded, no longer being, I don't know how to say this, life can be pulled out from under you. When you
Mhm.
make your own money, and lots of it, it's not as much of an issue. And so I'll
Yes.
just keep beating that drum for the rest of my life and giving the tools to women. And I just want to say, you sharing your story here today, Andrea, and you're just like at step one of your Boldheart story. There's so much more to come, but you've given so much inspiration to a woman who may be like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm working evenings and weekends. We didn't even talk about if there's any, if you've gotten your life back in any way. But just being able to see what you've been able to accomplish in 1 year is going to fortify and give confidence to
Mhm.
countless women. Is there a message that you'd like to share for a woman listening to this today who's intrigued by your journey? What would you like to, any words of advice?
I mean, I would, if there's any way you can make the investment in yourself and in your business today, do it. I know that it's easy to put off, like I'll think about that next year, or maybe I don't have time now. But what I've noticed is, we're not getting any younger. And I really, to optimize your business and really feel like you gave it your all, I would highly encourage anyone who's even considering or has been on the fence or has thought about it for a few years to just do it. Just make the investment and see what happens. Just make the investment for a year and see what happens. And, if you follow the recipe and you lean into the community and find accountability, it's anything is possible for you. And I don't have anything special. I mean, if it's possible for me, it's possible for you too.
Yeah, it really is possible. Sometimes it's about taking that leap of faith in yourself and stretching to grab that next trapeze bar that can take you to the next level. And it takes courage.
Yeah.
It takes a bold heart, but man, the rewards are life changing.
Truly.
Thank you, Andrea, so
I'm
much.
so appreciative of you, Fabienne, too, and everything you've built. And it's been changing my life. And I cannot thank you enough. I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
Truly my pleasure. It's my purpose. And I'm just happy to live it in the company of such magnificent women, you among them. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. And here's to you making your own money and lots of it.
I hope that you loved this episode with Andrea and that it got you thinking about the different elements to scaling your business with more ease and grace and femininity, if I can say that. And if you are curious about what it takes to scale in that way using the mindset first methodology, like I mentioned before, I would love to have you join us on our free masterclass happening April 15th. It's called the Mindset Intensive, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes. You can grab your spot there, and then I will see you on the 15th. Bring a big notebook and prepare to be transformed. I can't wait to be with you. See you on April 15th.